Like I said, it happens, and hopefully some kids can learn from it, but just don't get caught.
I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk. I'm down to dunk.
This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shai Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk. I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
Will you say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
Are you a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
If you have a gallon of milk, I can also take home.
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Wednesdays is my good friend, Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew?
Canada beat Slovenia this
Go
morning.
Canada.
189. Shai was unbelievable in this game. He was so good. He finished with 31 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, only 1 turnover, 2 fouls, 8 of 12 from the field, 12 shots,
Yeah, and
31 points, 16 free throws. He was 14 and 16 from the line. Just unbelievable.
even though he has been kind of blowing up in the third quarters, which he did again, this was kind of like a complete performance. I mean, from the jump, like in that first quarter, I think he started off 4 of 4, and they were all like tough turnaround jumpers in the mid-range. Like it was insane. He almost reminded me of Kawhi. Not like they play much differently, but you know those times when Kawhi will just be taking tough shot after tough shot and they're all going in. It's just like, how do you stop this guy?
Yeah.
Like that's how it felt in that first quarter.
Yeah, his defender, he had 2 fouls. His defender fouled him twice within like the first 3 minutes of the game. And it was like, okay, this is the kind of time it's going to be for Slovenia. And
Well, of course, that's because FIBA was paid off, as Luka let us know. He was doing the money symbol. The FIBA
What?
officials.
it's funny watching him in FIBA because they didn't put up with his crap today. They didn't allow him to just whine and complain at them. Like they gave him a quick tech, and then they ejected him in the second half. That Slovenia's already down big. He's frustrated. He gets fouled and he complains and he gets ejected. And what's funny is the same thing happened with Dylan Brooks, but Dylan's more of like taunting, just screaming, yelling pretty much the entire game. The crowd hates him. But the Luka stuff is interesting just because you just wonder, what is that stuff ever going to stop? Or is it ever going to tamper down a little bit? Because it obviously hurt Slovenia today, and not that they would have won the game had he stayed in, but like it's just, I don't know. Like, what is there enough is enough for him, or is it?
I feel like there's like a Luka cycle where he will stop for a little while, and then there will be some puff piece about how like Luka is refocusing and he understands that it can be an issue, and then you wait a couple months and he's like just as bad as he's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's insufferable. I can't stand Luka. He is so annoying because he just it's every single play, and it goes beyond just normal complaints because he is literally looking at the box. According to people who were tweeting, he's looking at the box where the FIBA officials are and like taunting them directly, or I guess not taunting them, but like complaining that that this is like some conspiracy against him. I don't know what else he would be complaining about. Why is he looking at them? And that part, I mean, I guess the only scenario would be that Canada, the literal country, is paying FIBA off, because otherwise it's like, why would FIBA want Canada? Like, Luka's a bigger star than Shai. Like, if Luka was in the finals, that would be a huge deal.
Yeah.
How does it benefit them to screw over probably like the most recognizable player in the tournament?
Right. Makes no
God,
sense.
he's annoying.
Miguel de Vela, who was at this game today, he's actually commenting from the arena right now.
Live. We have a live reporter on location.
Miguel de Vela on location says that Luka was at it with a fan too during the game. So unsurprising. And I wanted to like hold off on any like, hey, Shai is definitely like the best player in this tournament, all of that commentary, because Luka's in there. And Luka's shown, he's made it to the Western Conference Finals. He's done a lot of things in his NBA career. He hasn't, Shai hasn't shown the same level of success as an NBA player yet. But he was undeniably the best player on the court today. Like Luka was good, but Shai was competing so hard on both ends and like gluing this Team Canada together as Luka's kind of falling apart toward the end of this. And Team Canada is a much better squad, top to bottom, than Slovenia is. But
you weren't impressed with
was bad.
You weren't impressed with Prepelic?
I mean, they have some impressive shooters for sure.
Yeah, that was actually the most impressive thing about Canada, is that in that this felt like their most complete performance, not just Shai, but like the whole team. Because when a team's shooting like 60% from three against you in the first half, like, it would be understandable if you started getting frustrated, just because it's so ridiculous. It's like, how can we keep up with this team? This is stupid. And for them to just like stay with it, you didn't really see any frustration. They were just like very calm that entire first quarter, ended it tied, and then came out in the third quarter, and eventually those shots stopped falling for Slovenia, and they just turned it on. That was super impressive too, just like their attitude throughout the entire game. Because what Slovenia was doing early in that game was just, it was an avalanche. It was like, this has to end at some point, right?
Yeah. It was really fun to watch. Like that first half where they tied 50-50 at half, and it was really fun, just like up and down. But yeah, it did definitely have the feel of like an NBA game where it was like, okay, whatever team it is super hot, and you eventually, regress to the mean. And they did. And
although they still shot 48% from three, so like it was still a very, very good game.
Very good game. Yeah.
But they hit 10 of those threes in the first half and only 5 in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and Team Canada had, Nikhil was really good in this game, I thought, on both ends.
He was.
RJ Barrett, when he was going to the hoop, was really good.
Thank you for clarifying.
He is such a weird player.
He's so underwhelming, because you see him and it's like, oh my gosh, he is so big. He looks so strong. And for someone that size to be dribbling the way he does, you're like, man, this guy must be the best player. Like, if you didn't know, like if you're just watching this game, he can just be so underwhelming, except like you said, when he's going to the hoop, that seems to be when everything just kind of comes together for him. He had a couple like really nice dunks, and there are moments when he moves on the catch and is moving towards the basket where he looks really fluid and really good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some of the three-pointers he was taking, or sometimes when he's in isolation and trying to do anything from mid-range, it's just like, pass it, please.
Yeah. It felt like he took 50 shots in this
Anytime he like starts to quote unquote go to work, I'm like, RJ, please stop.
No. Yeah. It's it's not as bad as like Darius Baisley was, but it had similar vibes to whenever like Baisley's like, you knew when Bays got the ball at the top of the key and he took like 3 dribbles, and you knew in his head he's like, it's Baisley time. It's like same with RJ, where it's just like, okay, please don't do this. And Shai kind of feeds him and kind of lets him do his thing a little bit. He took 10 more shots, 10 more field goal attempts than Shai in this.
Yeah, and it works because Shai is so efficient.
Yeah,
like he is so specific in every single shot that he is going to take. The fact that he scored 31 points tonight on 12 shots. And granted, he got to the line, he's 14 to 16 from the line, but even the shots that he was taking and making, like those were all like really difficult shots, but also just real, like he was choosing them. He wasn't getting forced into any of those shots.
Yep.
It was him deciding. It was him dictating the play every single time.
Yeah. He was totally in control and, pushed Canada to the next round. They are going to play. Who are they playing?
Not US.
Serbia.
USA.
Serbia. Yeah, they play Serbia, who really took it to Lithuania in the game yesterday.
And USA plays Germany, who almost lost to Davis Bertans' game winner. Could have been this could have been a double pod. We could have done the first half on Davis.
We might have just had to go live after that shot went down.
If he had made that shot.
That's impressive. I mean, he got to it. And I'm sure there's a ton of fear in the hearts and minds of every German player and fan as he gets to his spot and rises up. It's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose. Yeah, Dennis Schroeder just almost shot them out of this game. Everybody else for Germany was really good today, but Schroeder, what did he take? He took a ton of shots today. Let's see. Schroeder. Yeah, 4 of 26. Today.
Wow.
26 shots is a lot in FIBA. So many in FIBA. And
I mean, they could definitely beat the US if he's not shooting 4 of 26.
Yeah, I mean, they've been really tough. They've been really, really tough. And Franz Wagner's back. He was really good and efficient. 16 points on 8 shot attempts in this one. Yeah, I mean, they've got a really experienced squad. So Davis today had 20 points on 14 shots, 6 of 13 from 3 in this one. So shout out to Bertans. And now this is lining up to where it's pretty possible to see a USA-Canada final on Sunday, which is what everybody wants,
Yeah, I think, Bogdanovic is the one who blew up for Serbia in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to think, like, with Brooks and Dort, like, they have 2 defenders who are kind of built to mess with him and hopefully keep him under 25 points because he was, like, scorching hot in that game. So we'll see if it's a good matchup or not. Jovic didn't have a huge game in their most recent game, but he's been playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Canada, it feels like finally everything is starting to like all coalesce for them. Because even when they were winning earlier in the tournament, it was like, their opponents aren't that great, or they would kind of stink it up for the first half and then finally turn it on in the third quarter. This game felt like them putting it all together against a good opponent and against, a really good player in Luka.
Yeah, I would not have been surprised if they lost today.
I was honestly kind of expecting it just based on how they've kind of been up and down.
Yeah, I think that's a fair expectation. I think that is totally fair. And for them to deliver in the way they did was very impressive, I thought. I was really shocked to see them. I didn't think it would. I thought this was going to be a single-digit game. But really because of Shai and then Luka just kind of coming apart emotionally in this game, like it led to Canada winning by 11. So,
and Shai, we should mention, he was also really big on the boards, especially at the end of that game when, Luka gets ejected and they're down by a ton at that point. And then Slovenia kind of makes a game out of it or starts to make a game. They're like bordering on making it a game because it was like a
team again, basically without.
Yeah. Cause it was kind of hovering. They got it back to around 10 points and Shai just had like numerous rebounds that were really important for them. He ended up playing 36 minutes in that game, which means he only sat less than 4 minutes because these are 10 minutes, right? I kind of like the 10-minute quarters.
The 10-minute quarters, the fast-paced game, like very few commercials. There was a lot to like about the game watching experience today.
Yeah, I wonder if they like take a cue from like soccer because it's similar in that you don't it's continuous play and there's no commercials.
Yeah,
but Yeah, it's really nice. Like I kept waiting for a break because I had to like go get dressed, and like outside of halftime, like
Yep.
there just wasn't really a lot of time to do anything. Like you're just kind of locked in, which
It's
is
great.
nice.
It was
Yeah.
really nice. I loved it. I've enjoyed every FIBA game I've gotten to sit and watch. I've tried to have it on like in the background in the mornings, almost every day. But like getting to sit and watch the game, like you feel like you're watching the game, the whole time. It was great. Dylan Brooks was also ejected in this one.
Yeah.
Golly, man, he's a good player. Dylan is, but it's why the Grizzlies were just like, yeah, under no circumstances are we bringing this guy back. They said that under no circumstances is he coming back to this team. And it's all up here. It's all personality. It's all like emotional intelligence stuff that he just doesn't have. And that was on full display today.
On the flip side, like you kind of see why he could benefit a team like Houston as opposed to Memphis. Like if you're not a team like Memphis who's trying to make deep playoff runs every year, I mean, that's their goal at this point. Like those negative aspects of Dylan Brooks are much more detrimental to you than they will be to a team like Houston, who is just trying to, if they could win close to 30 games, that would be a significant improvement.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like even watching him today, I mean, he did have some really good. In fact, I thought when Luka was off ball, when Luka like didn't bring the ball up, Dylan Brooks did a really nice job of trying to deny him the ball and just making it tough for him to even get into his offense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't like that contract. I'm not a Dylan Brooks fan, but I can see how he makes more sense for a team like Houston than he would for a team like Memphis. And why the negative aspects of him would be so annoying if you're a team like Memphis, where like you're just ready to win and have a guy like that who could just destroy you at any moment based on what he's doing on the court. Like that would be way more frustrating for them than a team like Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did the whole arena hate Dylan Brooks? How is the Dylan Brooks hate traveled so quickly?
Reporting from the arena, Miguel Davila said the whole arena hated Dylan Brooks, even Canadians.
It's funny because I'm just kind of used to what he does, and honestly, in comparison to Luka, like it just doesn't faze me as much anymore because it's not like it's not complaining as much as it's just like taunting and or just being very satisfied with himself after like a made shot. So it honestly doesn't bother me as much as Luka complaining. But yeah, it definitely seemed like everyone hated Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, everybody hates him.
The hate has traveled.
So, yeah,
and at least in this setting, he is embracing it.
Tyler Nevins, who's not at the game, says that he thinks that Dylan Brooks' dad was at the game, booing him as well. So,
oh wow,
so even has family ties to the. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's whatever. I'm not sure that I don't know that Dylan Brooks can like necessarily like buoy your defense up single-handedly, which is kind of what they need him and Fred VanVleet to do. It's like, hey, take this awful, putrid defense and just like make us good. And I just don't think that is going to be super possible. It's going to really be on the young guys for Houston to get better. And those guys complement.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with Şengün, because it feels like a lot of pressure is going to be on him as well. Just from the sense like Udoka isn't going to give him a free pass. Not even that Steven Silas did give him a free pass. I mean, he clearly didn't play him as much as Rockets fans wanted him to.
Yeah.
But I think Rockets fans might be in for a little like a rude awakening with how Udoka handles it. Because I don't think it's going to necessarily be that different if he continues to play defensively like he has. I think he's going to need to make it. I mean, he's never going to be an amazing defender, but he needs to get better.
Dude, but if he's 7'2" by now, who knows?
Who knows? He might still be growing. We still have a few. We have another month left for the season. Still time to grow.
Yeah, he's going to get 7'5", maybe. That's
maybe.
Who knows?
Did you see what time the next game is? The next Canada game is?
Well,
I saw William Liu Raptors fan tweet that it was 4:45 his time, which he's in Toronto,
Yeah,
which means that it's 1:45 my time and 2:40 or 3:45 your time.
3:45.
That's going to be a tough one.
That's is that Friday?
Let's see. That is Thursday.
Thursday. That's tomorrow?
Well,
I don't think that's right. It's got to be
it says
Friday.
it right here. But maybe I think is it different because it's in a hold on. It does say Thursday, September 7th.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, Friday.
Yeah.
It's
Those
Friday.
are the teams that lost.
Yep. Yeah, Friday. So, yeah, it's not ideal. But maybe it'll be over by the fry pot and we can break it down.
True. And then USA starts at 5:40 a.m. my time. So
Okay.
7:40, that's a little more reasonable.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like, I think they probably want to put the US in that spot to get more eyes on it. So, makes sense. Let's take a quick break. We come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about Shai. We'll be back. And we're back after that quick break. Al, does this tournament run make you think any differently about Shai?
Not really. It's more of just like proof that what he does kind of works in any setting. And I don't want to say this is like a playoff preview, but these are certainly like more important games than most of the games Shai has played for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And
this game today was probably the most important game he's ever played in.
Yeah, and the last game where they needed to win against Spain to make the Olympics, like that was probably the second most important game, or maybe even the most important game, because I feel like that was like the main goal of this tournament for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to see it working on that stage, I never doubted that would be the case, but to see it actually happen, and to not, it's not just like Shai's having like a good Shai game. Like this was a very, very good Shai game.
Yeah.
A very, very good Shai game.
Crazy
where he
efficient.
was crazy efficient, in control from start to finish. Like never really saw him get frustrated or even really get bothered in any way.
He's just hooping.
Just hooping. Now, I don't know if Slovenia, I don't know anything about their non-Luka players. So, maybe that contributed to it.
Yeah.
They might not be a very good defensive team. This is really my first time watching Slovenia.
Clearly a very good defensive team.
Yeah. So, it's going to get harder. But for the first time, I felt like, okay, maybe this team could win this tournament. Like if they keep playing like this, I think they will be the best team in this tournament. I think it's going to be hard though, because you really need everyone chipping in. I mean, even in that first half, I mean, you got a couple threes from Dort, which was very nice. You got I feel like you got a couple threes from Dillon Brooks.
Yep.
So both of those guys were making their threes. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he was 3 of 6 from 3.
Mm-hmm.
So if those guys, who we don't traditionally think as like knockdown shooters, if those guys are coming in and hitting 50% of their threes, like Canada's going to win a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to look a lot easier because they have everything else they need. I was looking at the plus minus. Do you know who had the best plus minus on Canada?
It's probably like Dillon Brooks or something.
Kelly Olynyk, plus 27.
Hey, shout out.
Also, I'm looking at the FIBA box score on the FIBA website, and they have a final column, EFF, which I'm assuming stands for efficiency, but I don't know what that corresponds to. SGA had a efficiency of 40, which is way higher than anyone else, but I don't know what it means.
I'll have to look that up. Because that seems good.
Yeah, but yeah, going back to Shai, I wasn't surprised, but it's just awesome to see him doing it on this stage, especially now that we're at the point of this tournament where he's doing it against some of the other best players in the tournament. The fact that we got this head-to-head matchup with Luka, and that he was clearly the best player in this specific matchup. I mean, Luka's still. Luka has accomplished more. Luka is a better player up until now. But you watch a game like this and you start wondering, like, is it that crazy that Shai could get to like Luka's level, the way we think about Luka in the league, it doesn't seem as crazy.
I don't think it's that crazy. I don't. I think that he is on his way there right now, and I think that
because that's the next step. You
as-
can't go much higher than like first team All NBA, perennial All Star, which you'll likely be going forward. But like that's the next step. However you think about Luka in the league, where everyone, when they're listing out their top 5 players, they'll either include Luka or at least say like, and Luka's right there.
Mhm.
Like that's the next step. That's the only other place to go, really.
Yeah, no, I think that's where we're headed, and I think the only thing that has slowed people to get there is essentially that Luka plays for a team with a lot of veterans, and Shai plays on a team with a lot of really young players. And as the team gets older and more experienced and more cohesive, I think you can make the case that it's not crazy that Shai like surpasses Luka, and this Thunder team is just thought of way higher. Because I've been skeptical, just because you never want to make that jump until you can actually see it. But I think Shai can be the best player on a championship level team, especially when he's surrounded with the proper talent. I think that's totally possible for him. The efficiency number is points plus rebounds plus assists plus steals plus blocks minus field goals minus missed free throws and minus turnovers.
That's why it's so high.
So, yeah. Minus missed field goals, missed free throws, and turnovers. Yeah.
Now, RJ Barrett had the second highest, which makes me already dubious of this stat.
Yeah.
That they have made up, but whatever.
Yeah, it's just an efficiency stat. So, yeah. But yeah, big time game from Shai.
What'd you think of Dort?
He looked like Dort.
Yeah, he did.
There's not much else to say. Like, he played well on defense. He was hounding him. He made his threes, which is good. And then like he turned the ball over in a maddening way, and he did draw a foul, get into the hoop. That was good. But
yeah, although if he hadn't have gotten the foul, it didn't look like it was going anywhere good. So he
looked like a classic Dort drive.
Yeah, and then he had that other one where he started driving. He was like going to work on the perimeter and then immediately fell down and lost the ball, but was able to like save it by getting it to Shai.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he looks like Dort. And like the thing is that as his team gets better and better.
Folks in the chat, am I frozen or is Andrew frozen?
Am I frozen? I can't be.
Oh, you're back now.
I was just saying that he's a perfectly fine rotation player. He doesn't need to like get all that much better in order to like be a rotation player. I think that he is a rotation player already. And with the amount of like picks and everything coming in, he may get knocked down on the totem pole by some guys. Whether that be Mitsic this year or Cason Wallace, either now or in the future.
I think what was mildly disappointing to me is just Andrew's gone. Now Andrew's totally gone. All right, we don't have to talk about FIBA anymore. Okay, send in your questions. What would you guys like to talk about? I'll wait till Andrew gets back till we continue. Can you all still hear me, or am I just talking to myself? In the chat, let me know. Can you hear me? No one's responding, so I might just be talking to myself. Phil's off. R.I.P. Andrew. I agree. Well, I don't know what happened to Andrew. I guess we can guess it was his internet, since he has had some of the worst internet in Oklahoma. Oh, you guys can hear me. Okay, great. Oh, here comes Andrew. Hello.
I have no idea what happened, but I'm back.
I switched us. Okay. Welcome back, Andrew.
Anyway, shout out to Dort. I still like Dort, and
I still like Dort, but like watching a game like that is kind of the setting that we would hope Dort would be in for the Thunder, where he's like not any of the like top 4 offensive options,
Totally.
and yet I wasn't blown away. Like even in that smaller role, I didn't feel like Dort's strengths were like accentuated necessarily. He still looked like Dort. He's just taking slightly fewer shots. I don't know. And that in and of itself is a good thing. But I don't necessarily think that just because he's getting fewer shots means that the shots he's going to be taking are going to be better necessarily. He's still going to take Dort shots. He'll just take fewer of them.
I mean, but that's what you want though, right? I mean, Dort, he took 4 shots.
It is, but that player isn't a $17 million a year player. Like a guy who's, I mean, in this game, like how many minutes did he play? He played 21 minutes. Like at that point, you're just talking about like a defensive player who occasionally hit threes.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, that's not
that's not what he's going to be in the regular season though. Like, he's going to take more shots in the regular season and probably score like 14 points a game.
No way. No way.
What do you mean no way?
That'd be terrible. If Dort is shooting enough to get to 14 points a game, that is terrible for the Thunder. with the other guys on this roster, for him to take enough shots to score 14 points a game, because what did he do last year?
He did
14 points is
13.7.
more than he did last year. He was 13.7 on almost 12 shots a game. If he's still taking 12 shots a game, adding in Chet, that's not good.
What if he takes 9 shots a game?
Fine.
What if he takes 9 shots?
Fine. That's a 25% decrease from 12 to 9. Sure.
What if he scores 14 points on 9 shots though?
Whoa! Then his efficiency rating would go through the roof.
Yeah. I think he's going to have a decreased role. I think that's been on the way for a while, and probably would have been there last year.
I agree. It's just like the more we talk about this, because we've been talking about this for a while. Like he'll have this decreased role. I'm just starting to think like, how much smaller can it get before he's just not offering you a ton of value? Like to get the
attack defense is extremely valuable.
But
I think his point of attack defense is extremely
like
valuable.
20 minutes per night valuable.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, 20 to 30 depending on the matchup, because there will be matchups where he'll need to play 30 plus minutes per game.
Yeah.
And then I think there will be matchups where he needs to play 20 minutes. I think you can start using him as more of like a utility player than somebody who is playing like 30 plus minutes every single night.
I know, I don't disagree with that. It's just starting to think about like that in context of his contract, which it doesn't really matter because like they have plenty of room, so it's not that. But
it's not that much though. I mean, and it's going to look like hardly anything by the time that his contract's up.
Yeah,
as the cap continues to increase. It's not. I mean, it's really not that big, and he's young, and he still could get better. I wouldn't like. I don't have high expectations for Dort to get a whole lot better than he is now, but he is valuable, and the coaching staff really values him. I know the team really values him too. So he'll play, and he proved his value in all those games we talked about at the end of the season, where they just needed somebody to step up, and he looked like one of 4 players that wasn't scared to be on the floor.
Right.
And those guys are just valuable. And he, played a not a big offensive role, but a big defensive role today against Slovenia, and had to be matched up against Luka at times. And he played well enough. And so I have no concerns about Dort, but he wasn't like incredible.
No, I don't have concerns. It's more just like, I feel like his future on the Thunder is an inevitability of what's going to happen, and we're just kind of delaying that. And I do think eventually, like, he will get phased out of this of this rotation. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I just think
It's not happening this year.
No, I don't think that. Like Kaysen would have to come in and be like incredible right out of the gate. But I just have become more and more dubious about him long term on the Thunder, just because because I think that there's other players on this roster who could potentially offer more value than Dort long term.
I mean, honestly, think that's kind of the hope, right? Is that you have all of your players that are like high level decision makers, like good to decent shooters, can do a lot with the ball in their hands. Like that's the dream. And Dort doesn't necessarily fit all of those traits. But I think Mark would shed some tears if Dort was gone, because I do think like the competitive nature piece is at such a high level compared to even a lot of the guys on this Thunder team that he really helps lift that. And like Kenrich is another guy who lifts the competitive nature of the Thunder team in general. Like when they see Dort playing the way he does, it helps kind of lift everybody up. And so like there's definitely like some intangible pieces of what Lou does that helps the team too, outside of like stats and shooting efficiency and stuff like that, which all could definitely be improved. But yeah, I mean, if Kaysen Wallace comes in and plays, in the next 2 or 3 years, like a starting level player, and you can play him, like and it's not necessarily ideal in my opinion. I would kind of rather him be an off the bench guy. And if I were to like say, hey, how do you replace Dort in the starting lineup? I would want it to be a forward. Like I would want to bring in like a big defensive ball handling shooting forward, which sounds like all-star. But like that's the way that I'd want to replace him in the lineup, is with like a guy where you can shift everybody down, where it's like Shai and Giddey are the backcourt, J-Dub is the wing, and then like you have this other like a little bit bigger versatile wing next to Chet, rather than pushing Giddey to the 4, or I guess J-Dub to the 4, Giddey to the 3, Shai to the 2, and then whoever, Kaysen or Micic or whoever. So yeah, I would like to have another versatile wing. So
that would be very nice. Do you have any targets?
Mostly Poku.
You said you liked RJ Barrett. You wanted to trade for him.
I've heard RJ Barrett can be had.
He probably could.
Probably could. Ideally it's Poku,
Ideally it's Poku. Yeah. I mean, sure. If that happened, it'd be a lot of fun.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't everything in life just feel better if that was Poku?
Yeah. It's just like when I think about if down 3 years from now, if you're replacing Dort and what he brings to the starting lineup, I mean, the main thing I think about with Dort is like defensive versatility. Yeah. And that is not necessarily what I think of when I think of Poku.
Not yet.
But this year, perimeter lockdown Poku.
Honestly, like the candidate to be that's on the team now is Jang.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Jang is actually the guy that we were probably talking about.
Jang actually is pretty good defensively. If you remember last year in the preseason, and like when we were doing season preview stuff, when we talked about Jang, we talked about his defense first. And Mark talked about it too. Mark talked about how he understood the defensive schemes so quickly before everybody else. He said that in training camp last year.
And I would say specifically his defense on the perimeter. Like I feel like that's where he's at his best.
Yeah.
So yeah, he probably is that more than even Kaysen.
Yeah.
If you're thinking down the road, who could potentially slot into the starting lineup, it probably would be Jang if he can, not even hit his ceiling, but just hit like a middle outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also think it's hard we may be underrating Kaysen a little bit in like all of our conversations, just because we haven't seen what it looks like with him on this team. We kind of did the same thing with J-Dub before the season last year, just because we didn't really know what to do with him. And, I think our conversations will quickly change, as we get into the season, just with the additions of Chet, Micic, and Kaysen. It's just going to be like, oh, like this truly is a different team. Like you're throwing in 3, what I think could be key rotation players onto a team that needed a boost last year. So
I forget that Micic is on this team like once a week. I
yeah,
have to be reminded because he does stick out when you're looking over the roster. You're like,
there's
oh
real
yeah,
depth. There's real depth there.
What are they going to do with him?
I can't wait to watch it. I cannot wait. And also can't wait to, we talked about this on Tuesday, yesterday, I guess, but the new Jumbotron,
Yeah, it looks very rounded.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Yeah, I think, it's cool that Micic doesn't even know that we had a lame Jumbotron before. He won't even have
I know, it is good. That would have been embarrassing.
I would have been so embarrassed for him to see our Jumbotron with some of the lights out on it.
Ugh.
Gosh, he would have left instantly. I think that's why he decided to join the Thunder now. It's because maybe he had heard about it and said, "I'm not coming to the Thunder until there's a new Jumbotron."
I agree.
Which makes the most sense.
I can't wait to see the opening night rotation because I feel like it's actually, if we sat down and tried to predict it, I actually think it would be kind of easy. Yeah. But knowing how different the roster looked by the end of last season compared to game 1, and just knowing that whatever we see night 1 is going to change dramatically over the course of the season, where that's not necessarily the case with every other team, because the difference with OKC and other teams is that a lot of other teams, their hands are always being forced by injuries, where it feels like OKC, like things will happen without any injuries occurring, and you'll see these like huge shifts in the rotation from the beginning to the end.
Well, Poku and Kenrich started game 1 last year.
They did. Do you think they'll start game 1 this year?
Yeah, I hope so.
Who are you taking out? You taking out J-Dub?
J-Dub. And
you know what? Let's take out Chet, because let's put Poku at the 5. Let's
what if Chet and J-Dub came off the bench? Poku and Kenrich. Here's even more than night 1. I am more excited to see what Mark does early in the season during these in-season tournament games, because we have never seen the Thunder forced into a situation where it's like, hey, you actually have to win this game. And like, it actually means something if you win this game against the Golden State Warriors. So like,
do you
truly
think teams are going to take those any differently though?
I think so. I think a team like Oklahoma City will. I think a team like Oklahoma City will. Will the Warriors? I don't know. But if you're using that game to just be like, hey, let's just see what it looks like if we let Jang run 7 possessions in the third quarter.
See, I think that's what they're going to do. I would actually be more shocked if they played like their Lakers lineup when LeBron passed the scoring record.
I would be shocked if they did not run a real lineup.
Really?
Yes.
Why? Why would OKC of all the franchises care about this like brand new midseason tournament and these random like qualifying games?
You want to go to Vegas?
They don't.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I don't think you have a good read on the Thunder organization, Andrew. I feel like this is like the exact kind of thing that they wouldn't care about, and that we would be like, why are you playing,
Hey, we can complain about it when it happens, but I expect them to play real lineups in those games.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see.
I
mean, there's still regular season games, so that does make a difference. So like you mentioned the Warriors, like Steph's still going to play those games because they're still regular season games.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're in addition to. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see though. So you think it's going to just, they'll play one team one night and then they'll play like the Spurs in their first qualification game, and you think it'll be significantly different in terms of how Mark approaches it?
I think it's possible. Yes. And I hope
so. You think like a Dorty 40 minutes for Dort?
Yeah, probably. It's probably like Dort and Kenrich are like, it's they're playing like 7-man rotation.
Okay.
possible. I look forward to it. I can't
We'll
wait.
see.
I'm really excited about the midseason tournament.
Yeah, I can't wait for Lindy Waters. 28 minutes in the first qualification game. He'll probably play all the two ways in a single lineup.
Sorry.
Do you think that'll happen in a game this year?
That
Just get all the two ways
that all 3 two ways will play
at the same time. At the same time, like
in one of those games, in one of the
honestly, just in any game. I bet we will see like a two-way lineup.
Yes, in any game, I would bet that it will happen.
Now, is there anyone else on the roster? Obviously, Dort was once upon a time a two-way. Is there anyone else on the roster who has once upon a time been a two-way, so that we could get a 5-man two-way? Who?
Wiggs.
Oh, Wiggs. Okay, so there's the lineup.
Yeah.
Keontae, Sarr, Lindy, Dort, Wiggins. That would be the two. We call it the two-man lineup. I mean the two-way lineup.
Two-way lineup. Yeah, I'm in on that. I think that's great.
We already have a bomber. We have multiple bomber lineups at this point.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
we need some more lineups.
I challenge Mark to play the two-way lineup at some point this season. Just do it already. Start. You know what? Start the season with the two-way lineup. You know?
I like how I've gone from being really annoyed that Mark will play, the 17th man, to now I'm just like, no, you're gonna play. I want you to play all those players at the same time. Let's see how serious you are about this.
Hey, but now your head can't explode when it happens.
No, nothing is going to surprise me this year.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel like that was for last year. I mean, the reason you would be surprised this year is because theoretically, this is the season where they actually have expectations and they're making a push towards something, whereas last year was more of a surprise. So I think it'd be normal for a fan to think, oh, they're going to start taking the rotation a little bit more seriously. They're going to kind of tighten this thing up, But
yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
And I'm ready for it this year.
But they also have more good players than they did last year.
We think.
We're pretty sure.
We hope.
I mean, Chet will be better.
Chet for sure. But some of these guys are going to disappoint.
Oh, without a doubt. It happens every year.
Yeah.
We'll have to give our who's going to be the Trey Man nominations,
that is true. There is kind of like a guy like that every season where it just doesn't work out. And honestly, a lot of the time it is one of the guys that we're most excited about.
I know.
We're most hype about.
It's really true.
Just scary.
But also sometimes guys are great and awesome.
Yeah, maybe they'll all be good. They'll all hit their ceiling.
I don't know. It's possible. All right. Al, you got to go. I got to go. Hope you guys are having an awesome Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday. Hopefully we're talking about a Team Canada win on Friday. That would be great. And then also a Team USA win on Friday so that we can see them in the finals on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's what we all want. All right. Hope you guys have an awesome day. We'll talk to you guys again on Friday.